1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. I'm one of your hosts, Precious D.
And I am the other one of your hosts, Honeybee.
Honeybee and I are two best friends making our way through the history of Kaiju movies. We started in 1933 with the original King Kong, and now, God help us, we are at 2008 with the SyFy Original Motion Picture Rock Monster. Rock Monster. This, Jesus Christ.
I was thinking more like Rock Monster Bennett.
What?
You know, like a guitar, like an electric guitar, like a rock monster.
Oh, no, I see. A monster that rocks out. No, I'm thinking it just sounds like Rock Lobster to me. Judas Priest. Okay. Yeah, it's from 2008. It's 86 minutes. It's a TV movie, so there's no budget or box office listed. It is written by three people. Judas Priest,
What the fuck?
Berkeley Anderson, Ron Fernandez, and Declan O'Brien. Directed by Declan O'Brien. There's a link on Declan O'Brien's name. Let's see who this motherfucker is. Oh, he was known as the director of 3 films in the Wrong Turn series. But which 3 films in the Wrong Turn series?
Seriously.
Because that makes a big difference. Oh, yeah. He did Wrong Turn 3, Left for Dead, 4, Bloody Beginnings, and 5, Bloodlines. Okay, that if he had directed,
tracks.
yeah, if he had directed the first one or even the second one, it'd be a little bit more. He directed Sharktopus, so we'll be seeing him again. And Joyride 3, Roadkill, The Marine 3, Homefront, The Marine 4, Moving Target. He directed a lot of sequels to other people's movies, sequels that the original director said, no thank you, I'm done. Something called On the Second Day of Christmas? Oh, okay, so it stars people who have actually been in things that don't suck. And yet, it stars Chad Michael Collins as Jason, Natalie Denise Sparrow as Cassandra, Alicia Lagano as Tony, David Figlione as Demeter, John Polito as the Colonel. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't know that name, but if you saw him, he's one of those, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
You've seen him in things. Some of those things have been good things. He is doing his best in this movie, but this is not a good movie. Harry Anichikin as Mayor, Michael Fleming as Benny, Daniel Hembling as Warren, Nikki Iliev as Farm Boy. He had a name. Vladimir,
is that the boyfriend?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Jason kept calling him Farm Boy, and she says he has a name, and it was like Johan or something.
It is
Vladimir
Johan,
Kolev as the barkeeper, and Philip Avramov as the bus driver. Honeybee, we watched this movie together while we were hanging out, before going to G-Fest or coming back from G-Fest. And the things I do for you people. I dozed off a little bit towards the end, and I thought at first, well, that's it's fine. I started reading through the plot summary, and I was like, I don't remember any of this. So
yeah, you really fell asleep at the end there.
Yeah, but as I was reading the summary, I was like, I don't remember any of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've watched this movie 2 times, or strictly speaking, 1 3/4 times. Because I think it was kind of the last 20 minutes that I fell asleep.
It was I remember distinctly when they go to the library. Mm-hmm. They're in the library looking for this shit, and I looked over at you and you were fucking out, and I was like, uh-oh.
So my point is, I thought I could just fast forward to when I fell asleep, but as I was reading the summary, I was like, no, this doesn't sound familiar. But then as I began rewatching it, was remembering it, but I thought I've forgotten a lot. I better watch. So, folks, I watched this almost 2 times. I hope you appreciate it, because this is a bad movie if you hadn't gotten the. Honeybee, what are your initial thoughts of this piece of shit?
Oh, man. My initial thoughts are... Man, I really just don't have anything nice to say, except for in the beginning, I didn't like Tony, and I kind of hated her.
Yes.
But by the end, she was my favorite.
Yeah, but I don't know why it took them so long to get there. She starts off the movie as just bitchy McBitcherson. She is being just thoroughly unpleasant nonstop for no particular reason.
And I thought they were dating. I was so confused because at the beginning of the movie, it really does seem like they're dating, but then apparently they're not.
Yes, I was confused by that too, and so I was looking a lot closer the second time around, and it still does kind of seem like they're dating. And okay, so let's not get too far into the book. We'll cover that as we get to it. But my initial thoughts are this is a bad movie. It is badly acted and badly written.
Yeah.
But it also folks, right now we're in a wasteland right now in kaiju movies. In this period, waiting for Godzilla 2014 to come along.
Just waiting so patiently.
So we're now in an era of asylum movies and SyFy originals. There might be, I haven't looked at our list. There may be a few gems in there among the dross.
Cloverfield is basically our gem,
Well,
our
no.
sword in the stone, if you will,
Right.
because of this movie.
That was our last good movie, I think. There might be a few good ones before we get to that Godzilla, but right now most of what we're going to be seeing is some made for TV or direct to video crap. And that's part of the history of kaiju movies, that we went through a bad patch.
Yeah, it happens.
So, which is what we're doing. We're examining the history of kaiju movies. So, let's get to this plot summary from Wikipedia, which is kind of long. But
I do have my notes here, and I wrote them on the back of our hotel's local restaurant guide.
I made a few notes. Like so a group of traveling college students arrive at an Eastern European small village called Ivanovo after their bus broke down. Okay, I'm already going to back up. So as we begin, they're in the bus and they're establishing a little bit of that one of them has inherited something. He's inherited a house. What's his name? Dumbass. Jason?
Yeah.
Jason has inherited a house, and he's speculating on whether or not it's a mansion or a shack. And
From his great aunt Sophie.
yeah, so there's our 4 main characters: Jason, Tony, Benny, and is Warren the other one? The one that dies first? The British one?
I don't know. I have it written down somewhere.
The first time watching it, I thought they were traveling together, but actually, the second time I realized, no, they've met them along. Jason and Tony are friends. They seem like they're a couple, but they're really just old friends. We find out later.
Yeah, Tony is a girl, by the way, if anyone is confused.
Tony with an I. Tony with an I and Jason are friends who are traveling and have run into these guys who have been traveling with them, but Tony is sick of them tagging along and wants Jason to get rid of them. Which also made it seem like they were a couple, because it seems like, they're cramping my style. We're supposed to be having this romantic trip together, and I'm sick of these 2 guys. She doesn't say romantic, but that's the vibe that's coming off.
Yeah, for sure.
But at first time through, I thought they were all old friends who were traveling together, but that is not the case. Anyway, there's something about buying who's going to buy the beers when we get to the next town, and they play rock, paper, scissors for it, but in just the most bizarre, awkward, stilted way that I stopped and made a note about it. I wrote bad acting, bad pacing. We know how RPS works because one of them throws rock, the other one throws scissors, and then there's this pause, and one of them says scissors, and the other one says rock, pause, rock beats scissors. And I'm like, who the fuck directed this? We all know.
You literally said, when we were watching it, you literally said, okay, we're explaining how to play rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. Everybody knows this. If you're making a movie, you just go 1, 2, 3, throw down, and one of them goes, ah. That's how you do it, folks. Yeah, it's like this movie was made for alien visitors. So, yeah, and then I wrote Ivanovo, Bitchy McBitcherson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony is just being unpleasant. And for the first 2/3, 3/4 of this movie, she just continues to be unpleasant, just snarky and bitchy and mean to everybody, including who we later realize is her best friend, but not her boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Which also still takes a while. Well, okay, I'm getting way ahead of ourselves. The bus breaks down. One of the students, Jason, pulls a sword from a stone, unwittingly reviving a giant. Okay. Yeah, this.
Okay, wait. Yeah.
This is a very long summary, and yet a summary that's going too fast. The bus breaks down. He's like, we got to get to this village. The bus driver says, take small cut. Oh, you mean shortcut. That could have been a good joke if it had been delivered better, but it's a bad movie with a bad director. He tells them, follow this path that'll get you to the village. As they come along the path, they run into some sword in the stone shit. There's an old rusty sword stuck in a pile of rocks. The two other guys try to pull it out. They can't. One of them actually cuts themselves on it. Gonna need a tetanus shot, dude. But Jason...
Yeah, gross.
Jason pulls it out. They get to the tavern in the town, drool over the serving woman.
Everyone is very like, you're not from around here vibes when they walk in too.
Yeah, it's very American Werewolf in London actually, but of course not as well done. Where they walk in and everybody kind of turns and looks at them and is not happy to see them. In fact, the bartender refuses to serve them. He's like, we're closed. Judas Priest. Okay, so Cassandra is the waitress, barmaid, serving wench.
Mayor's daughter.
Yeah. They're in a unspecified Eastern European country in the village of Ivanovo, but they never say what country they're in. Everybody has just a vaguely Eastern European accent, except for the ones that can't do an accent. And Cassandra, whose accent disappears for one entire line. Okay, so I'm going to be an objectifying pig for a moment. Please forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. Honeybee, did you think Cassandra was particularly hot?
Yeah. I thought she was pretty.
Okay. She's pretty, but these guys are just like, auga, hubba, 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 hubba. You know,
I thought she was, yeah, I thought she was like, I mean.
Okay. I did not find she's a pleasant, attractive looking woman, but I did not find her stunning, heart-stopping, I'm immediately in love with this woman as the characters all were. And I did not think she was more attractive than Tony. And she seemed about 10 years older than the rest of the so-called college students. So forgive me if I seem like I'm objectifying her too much. To me, it was more of, this is a bad movie, in that I'm not buying that everybody is this attracted to her. I just wasn't buying it. So.
Okay.
Anyway, but this is also a moment where I'm like, hey, isn't Tony your girlfriend? Why are you being why are you so obviously drooling over Cassandra? And then Tony's like, you men, you're all pigs.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit like, yeah, dude, pull your tongue back into your mouth. Your girlfriend's right next to you. No, it turns out she's not his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this just made me not like, I already didn't like him because of bad performance, but also I'm like, this isn't, well, no, it is their fault because they did not make it clear because it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
They should have made it clear that they were not a couple.
Yeah.
Going in.
I did think that Cassandra was really pretty, but I could tell that they were trying very hard to like make us feel that she was prettier because like when she walks out for the first time, they do the thing where like there's a fan in her hair kind of goes back. Yeah. The music changes.
Yeah.
And so they're very like, oh, and they're, you know, all like, but I did think she was really pretty. Also, in this moment when she meets them, she kind of, I guess she's supposed to like recognize his last name, and it's just so painful. This movie is so painful. It's just very terribly acted.
Yeah. So he explains that, well, hey, I'm here because I inherited a house and I'd like to know about it. And she asks his name and he tells her, but she doesn't recognize it. It turns out because his name is, you know, a shortened American version of the original family name. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, hold on, let me find the letter. And so they took the sword with them. I don't know if we mentioned that. And there's a little bit of discussion like that could be some kind of national treasure or something we shouldn't take. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's the rest of a piece of shit. When he's looking for his letter, he pulls the sword out of his bag and everybody loses their shit. Everybody in the bar sees him do this instantly, and everybody gasps and then starts getting angry. And they pull a gun on him. They pull out a shotgun, like, where did you get that? And that's when Demeter bursts in and stops everybody from killing him. And apologizes. I'm so sorry. And he tries to smooth things over and apologizes for their behavior, and he's like, and seems to know everything that's going on. Let me help you find your aunt's house, no, but first he's like, everybody's upset, let's go put the sword back where you found it, and then everything will be okay. So they go to do that.
Yeah, and it's so funny because all of this happens, like this whole scene happens, like they get the sword, they walk in the bar, the pretty girl, they have one conversation, and then they're like, let's go put the sword back, and it's like nighttime in the matter of like minutes. Yeah. And I know that we're on movie time, and it's like, but it was just very unbelievable. My note is like, now it's night, LOL.
Yeah.
And then the British guy twists his ankle doing absolutely nothing. Like, if they would have made it, like, where he was walking, or he twisted his ankle when he fell, but everyone's literally standing still, and then it was like they were like, and action, and then he was just like, oh, my, like, it was horrible.
Yeah, so they tell him, wait here, we'll come back for you. They can't find the rock because the rocks have come to life and turned into the rock monster. Did we see this happen yet? I can't remember. I think we did.
We don't see it happen until the British guy gets killed. Okay. And then it's like the CGI LOL.
Yeah. So they can't find. Well, I'm sure this is where the rocks were. And meanwhile, the rock monster kills Warren. They turn around and is like, oh, well, I guess we'll have to look more. We'll have to come back in the morning, whatever. They start to head back, and they're like, well, this is where we left Warren. His lantern's here. Where is he?
It's so funny because when we were watching this movie, as soon as Warren was like, I'll stay here, you guys go ahead, you said, well, he's going to die.
Yeah. And then Demeter is like, they're like, well, he must have gone back to the bar, to the tavern, you know, even though he had a twisted ankle and couldn't walk. And like, well, why did he leave his lantern behind? It was broken, was of no use to me. It was broken and was of no use to him. So he's being shady, but they're too much.
He's a fucking weirdo.
Yes, he's a weirdo. We will find out he's the bad guy, folks, okay?
I feel like it's pretty obvious, though.
Yeah. it's pretty obvious he's up to no good. It's not a real surprise. That's the thing. It's a bad movie. When we find out he's the bad guy, there's no, what? It's obvious he's the bad guy.
So they find his aunt's shack.
Yes, he takes them to the aunt's house. Did they find the painting at this point, or is that later?
No, it's later. But at this point, when they find the house, Tony's like, I get the bed. And I'm like, my note is like, aren't they dating? Wouldn't they both get the bed? I still don't understand at this point that they're not dating.
Yeah. So let me go back to the Wikipedia a little bit. Jason learns that an ancestor of his, Knight Jakovar Lazar, so his name is Laz, and Lazar's the family name, I think, had slain a similar monster as the evil wizard. No, he had not slain a similar monster. This is wrong. Okay, so there 800 years ago, there was an evil wizard, Alas. Not Elias, Alas. There was an evil wizard who ruled the land. He was in love with a woman named Cassandra, just like the current girl. The god himself intervened to help the knight kill this wizard. And we see lightning come down and like imbue his sword with power. He stabs the wizard with the sword, and this, for whatever reason, turns the wizard into a pile of rocks and entraps his soul in the rocks. And the sword, as we realize, the sword is holding his spirit in place in the rocks.
But in order to find all of this out, the hot waitress sneaks into the
That's right.
Cabin, and he tackles her. By the way, her lip gloss is poppin'.
She sneaks in and tries to steal the sword while he's sleeping in the chair and Tony is sleeping in the bed. And he's
then we
saying
get the whole spirit of the wizard.
He's saying crude things. Oh, I think he thinks it's Warren coming in and is asking hey, you dog, did you hook up with that waitress? Man, she gives me a diamond cutter. Jesus.
Ouch. That's disgusting.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard that. We don't have to explain what that means, do we? Everybody understands what he's talking about.
That makes me want to vomit.
Yeah. Yeah, he's Jesus Christ. But it turns out it's Cassandra trying to steal the sword. They capture her. They stop her, turn on the lights, and then that's when she explains everything.
The spirit wizard shit.
My note says Excalibur shit.
Nice. And then she explains it, and then she's like, take me with you. And I'm like, what, bitch? What the fuck? Like, get the fuck out of here. Also, at this point, you told me, because you were like, are you writing notes? And I was like, yeah. And you told me to write down Amazing Kreskin. Yes.
So, and I wrote that again when I rewatched it. Just more, I'm not buying that at all. So she's telling the story about the wizard and everything, and Tony says, okay, so he was the Amazing Kreskin, so what? The Amazing Kreskin was a mentalist, a popular talk show guest and performer in the 70s. This is just a very old reference, and also just one that doesn't quite make sense. And I'm just not buying. Okay, so the Amazing Kreskin, born George Joseph Kreske, this is from Wikipedia, in 1935, also known as Kreskin, is an American mentalist who became popular on television in the 1970s. Oh, he was inspired to become a mentalist by Lee Falk's comic Mandrake the Magician. So a mentalist is very similar to a stage magician, but a little bit different.
Okay.
In that mentalists basically sort of, just like a stage magician pretends he's doing magic, but we all understand it's a trick, it's an illusion, right? Mm-hmm. A mentalist pretends that he has sort of mental powers, psychic powers. So a lot of what they're doing is very similar, if not the same as magic tricks. It's just more the way they're presenting the magic tricks.
Okay.
So they pretend like I'm reading your mind and I'm getting a number, and but unlike somebody like Uri Geller, who is trying to who's also from the 70s and nobody knows who I'm talking about, who is actually scamming people and trying to convince you he actually does have psychic powers. A mentalist is a performer who tells you this is all a trick. I am trick. We all understand it's a trick. He doesn't really have supernatural mental powers. So just what bugged me about this was, one, she's too young to know who the Amazing Kreskin is. And two, the Amazing Kreskin is a mentalist, not a stage magician. He's not a wizard. He's not. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. It should have been another outdated. She should have said, "Oh, so he's David Copperfield. So what? So he's Doug Henning. So what?" These are also old references that nobody is in 2008 who is her age is going to make. But to me, it was just another example of the person who wrote this movie is old enough to remember the Amazing Kreskin, but not a good enough writer to realize that is an outdated reference that this young lady should not be making. Was that more than anyone needed to know about the Amazing Kreskin? It just really bugged me. Just early in the movie, before I realized just how bad this movie is, I was just like, Amazing Kreskin, what? What? It would have been almost as bad as if she had said, "Oh, so he's Mandrake the Magician." We know who Mandrake is because we've watched Defenders of the Earth. But no,
yeah, I definitely didn't get the reference.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's why I asked you to write it down to make sure I didn't forget. And this is also the scene where, what's his name? Barry? Larry? Gary? Benny. Benny says, "Ugh, I never knew a hot chick could be so annoying." And I just wanted to punch him. I was just like,
yeah.
Anybody can be annoying. Hot chicks are not immune. What he really meant was, "Hey, hot chick, you're really killing my boner by being annoying right now."
Yeah, you're for pretty, not for talky.
Yes, exactly. She's under no obligation not to be annoying so that you can look at her and appreciate her beauty. It just made me hate Benny.
Yeah.
Not his fault. It's the writer's fault. Jesus Christ. Okay, so anyway, she explains the whole story, and he asks where what's his name is, and he's like, he never came back to the bar. Demeter did not come back to the bar either. WTF. So, what happens next?
I don't know. My next note is town people ready to fuck shit up.
Jason attempts to call the police for help in finding Warren at Cassandra's father's office. So, okay. He also shows her the letter from the mayor about inheriting the house, and she says, "My father's
that's her
mayor.
dad.
This is not. Yeah, this is not his handwriting. My father's the mayor. Clearly, something's up here." So then, I guess we cut to morning where he's trying to call the police from the mayor's office, but the phone line is cut off by criminal. Forgive me, gypsies is what this fucking. Oh, they say it in the movie too, though. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't use the term We don't use the term gypsies anymore. It's offensive. Romany or Roma is the appropriate term. On the way to why did they cut the phone line? Why? I don't know why they cut the phone line. On the way to another town to make a phone call, Jason and his friends see the Roma lying dead on the road. The rock monster reforms and reveals itself before rising to attack them. They escape back to the village before the car explodes. Oh, right. They take a car because Cassandra tells them, "Take me with you." Well, you're going to have to because there's only one guy with a car, and maybe he'll loan it to you if I ask nice. So let me come with you. She just wants to get out of town. At some point, she's like, "I want to go to America with you." The car, surrounded by an angry mob, Tony defends Jason by telling everyone that he's sorry for everything. Come on, so some people died. Mistakes were made. He said he was sorry. What more do you want?
Oh, God.
During a meeting in the town city hall, the Colonel... So here we get our one good actor who is doing the best he can with the material he's been given.
Yeah, he gives the whole, like, blast it back to hell speech.
Yes.
A soldier is always prepared.
Yeah, that inspires them to fight back against the monster together. They're not very clear about who this colonel is. He's wearing his uniform all the time, but is he an active colonel? Is he a retired colonel? He seems to have... I feel like he's retired and took a lot of souvenirs with him when he left the military.
Yeah, this is also kind of when I start liking Tony a little bit, because he's
Yeah.
like, a soldier is always prepared, and he's like handing out all these guns, and she's like, I don't want that little tiny pistol, give me a fucking gun.
Yeah, give me a... Don't... And she doesn't say this outright. It's like, don't give me that tiny pistol just because I'm a girl. Give me a real gun. And he's like, okay. And he reaches back and gets her a Tommy gun. A Thompson submachine gun. You know, folks, the old-fashioned kind with a round magazine from World War II.
And then Jason's like, well, what about me? I want a gun. And he's like, you've got a sword. Learn how to use it.
Yeah. But he does explain that it's a powerful weapon capable of killing the monster when the latter doubts its powers. Eventually, Jason decides to stay and help them destroy the monsters. So Jason's a piece of shit, but they're trying to do a hero's journey here. So, you know, call to adventure. He refuses the call, but then accepts the call. But it's just bad. What? Tony reveals to him that she truly likes him, leaving for Jason to say goodbye to Benny, and that he will not leave Cassandra and Tony to fight the monster. No, that's not what happens. Cassandra gets upset that he's like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here, even though it's his fault, and turns out his destiny. And Cassandra's like, I can't believe you're leaving, oh, you coward. And Tony says to him, you know she really likes you, you dumb. I'm not sure it's clear that at this point that she really likes him, though.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Benny also has had enough and is getting the fuck out.
Yeah, but something I don't really understand here is, like, because we saw, like, the Roma's bodies, right? So, like, if the creature leaves bodies around, well, then where the fuck was their friend in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, because it seemed like it implied that he had eaten him, consumed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the Roma, he just smacked them around, I guess.
Well, I don't know, because then when he kills, like, Benny, it does seem like he
does absorb Benny. He clearly absorbs Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's about to kill. So Benny's leaving too. Jason follows him for a bit and discuss to say goodbye. And Benny's talking about going back to college and that he's going to study. Oh, he's like, oh, what's your master, by the way? And he says, is it quantum physics? Something.
I don't fucking know.
It was something. You know, it was something. It was something tough. Not, literature or humanities or something. It was hard science of some kind. I believe he said quantum physics. And then and Jason seems surprised by it. He's like, Benny? Quantum physics? Maybe it's just because he seems like just such a dumb, womanizing jerk. I hope it wasn't because Benny's black, ladies and gentlemen. And to me, just for a moment, it seemed like Jason was being a little racist.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Quietly to himself. Well, just the thing is, watching this movie for the second time, I'm just hating Jason so much that I was like, what? Black guys can't study quantum physics? What are you trying to say, dude?
I will say when Benny dies, the bad CGI brain was really cool. It's like the coolest part of the whole movie.
But it may just have been because all Benny has talked about on the trip is girls and beer. So he's surprised to find out that he's studying quantum physics. But the thing is that at this point in the movie, I hate this guy so much that I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt about anything. He's a sexist jerk who talks about getting a diamond cutter, and a coward who wants to run away from his responsibilities. Yeah, this is also when I started to like Tony, and I think I wrote down, at least bitchy isn't a coward, is what I wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least bitchy is brave and takes responsibility, because yeah, Jason's like, I'm getting out of here, and she's like, what? And I'm staying because this is our fault, and I can't leave these people. She appears to be his best friend, and he walks away anyway. Eventually, he comes back. Of course, or there's no movie, but it does seem like that should have been like, oh, well, I can't leave you, so I guess I better stay. But no, it takes him a while longer.
Yeah, and then we get this like moment where like everyone is, I guess, like hunting for the rock monster, and they're like all in the woods with all their guns, and then all of a sudden it's like rock monster, and there's just a random fucking like rocket launcher, it just like hiding in this box in the woods. Like, who carried this here?
Yes. So they've all got their weapons and they're all shooting at it, and Tony's like, I need a bigger gun. The colonel says, there, and points to the box where the rocket launcher is. But you're right. We didn't see anybody carrying the rocket launcher.
It's just there.
Now, I don't know a lot about the military, but I believe you're normally allowed to keep your service weapon when you leave. I know a lot of people have it. I don't think they've stolen it. I think you're allowed to keep it. You're not allowed to just go through the armory and grab anything you like. It's clearly what the colonel has done. I don't think he's bought these things separately. I think he backed his Jeep up to later we'll find that he has a tank. I think he went to the motor pool, grabbed a tank, backed it up to the armory, and filled it up with everything that would fit, and said, see ya, suckers.
Which, thank God he did, because rock monster.
Yes, but... yeah, so yeah, you're right. There's a random rocket launcher. Tony picks it up and shoots it at the rock monster, but none of this is working. That's at some point during all this shit, Jason has, decided to come back and help, and he hits the rock monster with the sword in the ankle, basically, and the thing falls apart.
Yeah. And at this point, I feel like I don't really trust Cassandra, because I'm like, where's Demeter? Is he her real boyfriend? Like, I was really questioning this bitch at this time, because I'm like,
right,
what the fuck is going on here? Where's the other guy? Who are you? I was really like, Tony was like slowly becoming my favorite character, which, given how the movie started, was saying a lot.
Is Cassandra she's not in the battle, right?
Well, I'm pretty sure she's there, but she's not doing much.
Okay. Because it might be that when she got upset and cried and ran off, that she never came back and never got a gun.
Oh, maybe. So.
So, I don't know. But I do think she must have seen it because... okay, so he kills the monster and now he's a big hero. Mm-hmm. So I think she must have seen him kill the monster because now she really is in love with him. So we go back to the tavern, the bar, the inn, the whatever.
Oh my God. And this is the fulfill hers line. Is this the fulfill hers line?
I'm not sure what.
There was like a line in the movie, it's so disgusting, where it's like they're in the like bar and someone's like talking about like, oh, like something about destiny. He's like, I'll fulfill her destiny, or like I'm gonna fulfill her something or other, and it's so fucking gross.
You mean the kind of thing I say to you all the time?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly like that.
I'm sorry, but it's bad. Honeybee will say something like, I'm going to make a sandwich, and I'll say, I'll make you a sandwich. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Jesus. Anyway, they're at the tavern. Everybody's like, tell us how you killed the monster, even though they were all there and saw it. And he's like, it's no big deal. And for some reason, the colonel seems to think, if you don't tell this story right, they're going to turn on you. Or this is part of being a hero. You've got to do this. Because he's like, get up out of your chair
Take a shot and do this.
He's like, here, yes, gives him. He's like, now get up and tell them how you killed the monster, as if you don't do this, it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know. It's like, look, these people need you to be a hero and tell them the story of how you killed the monster, because this is just how it's done. So you need to do it. Which I just thought was just more bad writing.
Yeah.
So he very awkwardly, in the least inspiring way possible, tells the story of how, I mean, he's trying to, embellish and make it exciting, but his performance is just so bad that it should have been he starts off slow and then gets more and more excited as he tells it and really gets into telling it. That's not really what happens. But he tells the story of, it swung at me, but I ducked, and then I swung, but I missed. Then I hit it in the ankle. Anyway, at this point, Tony starts hooking up with Farm Boy, Johan. So it finally becomes clear that they are not dating.
Yeah, finally.
Well, I guess when Tony says to him, she really likes you, right? That's when it becomes clear that they're not dating. I think we did miss the painting of the ancestor. At some point in the cabin, there's a painting of his ancestor holding the sword, and he hangs it up on the wall. Maybe it's after this. Yeah, it's after this. They still don't. So, folks, the rock monster's not really dead, but none of them realize it yet. They think they've vanquished the monster and everything is fine. So he has a little chat with Cassandra. Is there a little smooch? Oh yeah, she talks about
they get fucking trashed, and he's like telling her dad, like, I'm gonna fuck your daughter.
Yeah. but before that though, Cassandra is like, I'd like to go to America and see America, and he's like, well, maybe I could take you with me, and she's like, yeah, I think I'd like to do that, even though we just met 12 hours ago.
And she's like, acts like gasp, surprised, even though like a few minutes ago she was like, take me with you. Yes.
So, and I think they have a little kiss at that point. I'm not sure. But then we cut to he's been drinking more, and he and the colonel and the mayor are sitting around a table doing some very bad drunk acting. Well, mostly Jason. I'm just not believing for a second that he's drunk. It's some of the worst drunk acting I've ever seen. But he's saying, I'm in love with your daughter. Is that okay? I want to marry your daughter and take her to America. And the mayor's just kind of nodding because he's drunk. It's terrible. So next morning, they're getting ready to leave. They think everything's okay. And, we missed something here. Let's see. The Village Pub Restaurant. I'm looking at Wikipedia, folks. They do have a kiss. Jason confesses his love. Demeter tries to kill Jason with the sword at his great aunt Sophie's cottage while sleeping. But Tony and her farm boy lover Johan have come to save him by knocking Demeter unconscious. Then we cut to the jail. He's bound with shackles on his hands and ankles. Demeter tells Jason that he cannot kill. So this is more the bad. He tells Jason you can't kill the monster without the keystone.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this movie does not know what a keystone is. He's talking about the stone that there's the pommel of the sword is an empty circle. There's a stone that fits in that pommel. Lots of swords are decorated and have a jewel or something set in the pommel. But that is not called a keystone. That is not what a keystone is.
A keystone is a beer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The keystone is that when you're building an arch, the keystone is that last piece you put in the top that holds the arch together. Because you can build, if you cut your stones right, you can build an arch without mortar, because the pressure of the stones will all hold each other together. And that's how a lot of the ancients did it. So that keystone is the last one that once you put it into place, they'll all lean against each other in the right way and the arch will hold together. So it's important because without the keystone, the arch falls apart, which is why it has come to mean a metaphorically, various things are keystones because they hold everything together. But that is not what the jewel set in the pommel is called. I don't think there is a special name for the jewel set in the pommel of a sword. It's just, hey, it's a decorated pommel. But for some reason, this dumbass tells Jason how to kill the monster.
Well, first they aren't they looking for the keystone? They're looking in a book.
No,
and
that's
they
later.
find this. Oh, okay.
That's later. But he's taunting him. Ha ha! You can't kill the monster without the keystone, and you don't have the keystone, you moron! Ha ha ha! And he ends up punching him and leaving. And then as he leans forward, we see the keystone on a necklace fall out of his shirt. Okay, but my question is, so at various points throughout the movie, and we're going to get to this stuff, Demeter's like, I got to do this to do this. I've been studying, it turns out Demeter has been studying the wizard's books. And so he knows how to do everything. He knows what to do with the sword, and he has a plan that we'll get to. But the thing is, the wizard's books can't have that information in it because the wizard died. The sword killed the wizard. Well, the sword absorbed the wizard and trapped him in the stone. So how could the wizard have written a book about how to kill the rock monster, which is him?
I just feel like a montage of the rock monster, Dear Diary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mood apathetic.
Yeah. He doesn't become a rock monster until the sword is removed from the stones. So at no point was he able to leave behind a book of spells explaining how to resurrect him, how to kill him again, how I can use this sword and this gemstone to take over the world and all of this bullshit. None of this makes any sense. And nobody working on this movie seems to have realized that it doesn't make any sense.
What
Am I right?
a dumpster fire. You're so right.
Yeah. Demeter laughs with a red jewel keystone around his neck. The next morning in her father's office, Jason asks Cassandra to come back to America with him. Later, Jason looks at his ancestor with the sword. Okay, this is when they look at the painting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're back in the cottage. Tony's with him. He's found a poster. He's found a painting of his ancestor with the sword and the keystone in the sword on the ground in the portrait hanging on the wall before packing. Whoever wrote this summary, it seems like English is not their first language.
Yeah, because they're packing up the cottage and they find the painting.
Yeah, so they still think they've killed the monster. He's gone back to the cottage to see what's going on. Tony says, yeah, you should take that back with you and hang it on your dorm wall at college. And he's like, no, this is too good for that. It needs a place of honor. Here, I'll hang it on the shitty wall of this shitty cottage that is falling apart. Because it seems like a pretty shitty house he's inherited.
Yeah.
And I'll put it here where it's, of course, going to fall on the ground again and as soon as there's a strong wind. Rather than, you know what, this is an important local legend. This painting should be cleaned up and maybe they should hang it in the town hall or something. No, I'm going to leave it here in this so-called place. So Jason and Tony hear gunshots firing and see Cassandra. The mayor dies off screen.
Mm-hmm.
They hear gunshots and they go running, and Cassandra's laying there with her dead father in her arms. To me, this seems like a budget thing.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. The colonel tells Jason that the monster came back to open the jail cell and free Demeter. Yeah, again, I think this is a budget thing. We can't afford to show the monster break down the wall and rescue Demeter. So we'll just tell them what happened. Jason realizes that Demeter was telling the truth the whole time, warning that the monster will return to kill everyone until Jason dies and he inherits the sword? What? No. As the rock monster returns to the village, Tony and the colonel use a tank to fire at it. Here's where we find out.
Tank Tony! Woo!
Yeah, which tanks don't drive like cars. I think it takes some training to drive a tank, but by golly, she knows how to do it.
Tony fucking does
Yeah.
it. She likes big guns, big tanks, and farm
And
boys.
big farm boys. Because he is quite a bit taller than her. After another attempt, both Jason and she shoots the monster, doesn't do any good. She shoots the monster and misses, causing a rock slide that buries the monster and Jason under the rocks.
Oh, I was so fucking annoyed at this. Like, by this point, I'm like so annoyed because like they're like, you know, Tony's freaking the fuck out, which I feel like she did a really good job of like,
Yes,
it's my fault. Like, I killed him, and then
Yes.
Cassandra's bitch ass is like, I can feel him. He's not dead. Like,
Yeah.
bitch, shut the fuck up.
I did write finally some good acting. Tony crying, finally some acting. Yes, she did a really good job in that scene. And the thing is, she is actually giving a good performance throughout. It's just that she has been directed and written to act like a bitch in the first part of the movie. She is successfully acting like an unlikable bitch. It's just the bad writing that has compelled her to do this. Oh, Jesus Christ. So they go back to the village. They spend some time digging through the rocks, but they cannot find him. They go back to the village, and the male barkeeper becomes the mayor.
Yeah.
Why did they write that? But why did the summary is written the male barkeeper to distinguish him from Cassandra, the female barkeeper? Why did they feel the need to write the male barkeeper? So this made no sense. The bartender says we should try to go make a deal with Demeter to spare us from the monster. And they're like, we're not going to do that. And he says, as the new mayor, it's my choice to make. And I was like, wait, what? New
yeah, well,
mayor?
there's a point before this where Cassandra tells the guy, because he's like, they like elect him as the new mayor, and Cassandra says, like, my dad would have been proud that it was you that we all picked.
Oh, does she? I totally missed that.
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I missed that completely because I was like, new mayor? When the hell did they have time to elect a new mayor? But I guess they didn't have a formal election. They just said, we need a mayor right now. And somebody said, bartender should be the mayor. All in favor? Show of hands? I guess that's what happened. But I missed the line with Cassandra saying that.
Yeah, 'cause she's like, my dad would have been really proud that it was you. And then, like, later on, he, like, punches her in the mouth. And I was like, yeah, I bet your dad would be really fucking proud.
Yeah. Okay, so that at least clears that up. But, yeah, that's not how you choose mayor. But maybe in this little town, that's how they choose the mayor. I just don't see why it was such an emergency to replace the mayor right away. Oh, Jesus Christ. The colonel mentions that they have run out of shells for the tank, there is no army, and they need to contact the other villages. Without any other choices, the new mayor makes a deal with Demeter for peace. Cassandra refuses to accept this bad idea because Demeter will enslave the village and offer the villagers to the monster either way. Yeah, he's not going to keep his promise. Meanwhile, Demeter summons the monster to get Jason out of the rocks. No, he doesn't. He summons the monster, it stands up, and Jason's still alive underneath. Mm-hmm. Late at night, Jason unconscious but still alive from the rocks. Jason wakes up and is brought to a secret lair in a mountain cave. Demeter takes the sword and adds the red jewel keystone. This was also just bad. 1 second, it is set in a fitting to hang around his neck as a necklace, and then a moment later it's just a jewel that he puts right into the sword and it sticks. So just more bad movie. He reveals that he has decided not to kill him yet, and the monster's soul will be freed from its stone prison and transferred into him to make him. So at sunrise, again, there's no way he could possibly know this because there's no way the sorcerer could have written this down. But at sunrise, when the sun shines through the keystone, it will merge the sorcerer's soul with my body, and I will become a powerful sorcerer. This also,
and I shall walk the earth for 1,000 years.
Yes. Yeah. Also, because the sorcerer was in love with some girl named Cassandra, he is also wants this Cassandra. He's going to claim her In fact, this is the deal he makes with the new mayor. You give me Cassandra and I'll spare the rest of the village.
Yeah,
And
which is
the mayor
why
says-
the mayor punches her in the mouth.
Yes, he's gonna is like, yep, I made a deal. Oh yeah, the mayor's sitting there drunk when they're talking about we don't have enough shells and stuff. He's like, don't worry about it, I took care of it, but he feels bad about it, so he's drunk. And he's like, I made a deal. What are you talking about? It's okay, it's all taken care of, it's all gonna be fine. How? I offered him Cassandra in exchange for everybody else's lives. Which, yes, I understand one life to save the village, but she's right. He's going to kill the rest of the village anyway.
Yeah.
You can't believe him. You can't trust him. Judas Priest. Let's see. Demeter tells him that he is the last descendant of the Lazar family to witness for Elias' evil soul of his new. I think he's keeping him alive, basically to taunt him. You're the last descendant, so I want you alive to watch our triumph, my triumph and Elias's triumph over your family.
Well,
so I'm not
and he knows that he has like a thing for Cassandra too, so he like wants him to see him tongue her or something.
Yes, yeah, which is just it's
disgusting.
vanity and but also stupid vanity. No, do not explain your plan to James Bond. Shoot him in the head while you've got him tied up. But that's exactly what he does. He villain expositions, telling him everything he needs to know. Jesus Christ. Another part of this movie that doesn't make sense, as none of it makes sense, is that even though the sorcerer's soul is trapped in the rock monster, he seems to be able to order him around. The rock monster behaves like his minion. Why isn't the sorcerer's soul just like, hey, okay, I've got an awkward rock body, but I'm still a sorcerer. Zap. He's just like, oh, you're going to use this sword not to free me from the rock monster, but to put me into your body so that you can be in charge? I don't think I like that plan. I think maybe what really ought to happen is the sorcerer will take over his body and Demeter's brain will just be gone. And the sorcerer... It should have been the other way around. The rock monster the sorcerer's soul should be manipulating. Oh, fuck it.
Yeah, seriously.
I am not going to try to explain to these people who are not listening to this podcast how they should have written this movie. But you all know what I'm saying. I think you could suss out what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, he leaves Jason behind and goes to the village, and Jason gets a stick that kind of resembles a crutch and limps his way back to the village. Let's see. Demeter debates on either sparing the village and the people or killing the Cassandra's kidnapped, knocked out, and carried away from her father's house by the new mayor, revealing him to be a traitor. He ties her up and leaves her alone in the woods. Jason angrily asks where Cassandra is and punches the mayor before discovering that Cassandra's been carried away into Demeter's lair. Again, this is all badly written. Jason limps back, finds out what happened, punches the mayor. Tony tells Jason that if Demeter wants an audience to see him... Okay. How are we going to stop him? And Tony says, well, he's a crazy asshole who's going to want an audience. So he's going to show up in the town square at sunrise. So he shows up. He's got next morning. It's morning. He shows up. He's got the sword. Everybody come witness my triumph. Shit. And they all gather around.
And at some point too, Johan tells Tony, he's like,
Yes.
I have a house and chickens and a cow. Will you marry me?
Yeah.
And she says, let's just live in sin.
Right. But she did. Yeah. This part was kind of funny. This was actually one part
really
I
funny.
liked. He's like,
Same.
I have house, I have cow, I have chicken. And she's like, that's nice. She doesn't understand that he's trying to say, I could make a good husband. I have these things. And so he gets that. He asks her to marry him, be wife. And she doesn't agree to marry him, but she does basically agree, I will stay here at least for a while and shack up with you. Guy that I met yesterday.
And then she's like, give me that gun and the shells are by my purse.
Yes. Anyway,
her.
she deduces that he'll be in the town square tomorrow. So Jason says, I need a bullwhip and what was the other thing?
I don't fucking know.
He
Who
needs
fucking
2
cares?
things. He needs 2 things, but one of them is a bullwhip. And I'm like, oh, God. I know what he's going to try. As soon as he says that, I know what he's going to do. But I'm like, who the fuck are you? Indiana Jones? Where have you established that you are an expert with a bullwhip? How is this the first thing that leaps into your mind? And of course, somebody's got, well, it's a primitive village where people are farmers and cows. So of course somebody's going to have a bullwhip. That maybe isn't unreasonable. So they show up. The guy starts the ritual. The sun hits the jewel. A beam goes to the monster. A beam goes from the monster to Demeter. He's doing a bunch of, it's happening. And our so-called hero takes the bullwhip, whips it around the sword, and snatches it, yoinks it out of the guy's hand. God damn it. Which, fine. If we had seen him with a bullwhip the whole time, if he was Indiana Jones, fine, but no. Then he's not quite sure what to do, and then remembers that he saw in the painting his ancestor has the point of the sword is hitting the ground in the painting.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, who painted this? Who knew to paint it looking like this?
Who fucking cares?
He deduces that rather than attacking them with the sword, I need to stick the sword into the ground.
Which is where he found it to begin with. If he would have never fucking touched it, he would have been fine.
Right, but he sticks it into the ground in the town square, and a fissure opens up in the earth, which becomes a chasm, and the rock monster
and
Demeter both get pulled down into hell, presumably. And then the fizz conveniently closes back up so that there's not a just permanent hellhole in the middle of the town. It's that they got to put orange cones up for the rest of eternity. Fortunately, it seals itself back up with some more bad CGI. So,
God.
So the next day, there's a bus. It turns out though that all of this was Demeter's plan. Demeter actually bribed the bus driver to pretend the bus had broken down and to tell them to take that path, knowing that they would stumble across that sword and that it would be human nature to just try to pull that sword out of the stone, because only Jason could pull the sword out of the stone. So this was all part of his elaborate plan. He wrote the letter to get him to, he knew somehow found, so at some point Cassandra's like, what happened to you? You used to be a nice shy boy. And basically he found in the cave, he found the wizard's magic book, and basically reading it drove him mad and turned him evil. Or maybe he was evil all along and just saw, oh, here's a way for me to get power. Who knows? There's a long history of magic books driving you mad. But so this was he had this elaborate plan. He somehow was able to track down the last living ancestor of this guy from 800 years ago.
He probably killed Aunt Sophie.
I was just going to say, did he kill Aunt Sophie? Probably did. He never came out and said that. But he probably murdered Aunt Sophie, wrote the letter himself, bribed the bus driver, counting on them pulling out the sword, followed them. Oh, they did see somebody run by the woods right after that. That was Demeter. Seeing, okay, my plan is working. Followed them to the tavern in time to keep the rest of them from beating him up. And then all the rest of this happened. So this was his extremely elaborate and unlikely plan to do this thing that there's no possible way the wizard could have written this book to tell him to do. It didn't work. He's in hell. They're all getting on the bus. So Jason and Cassandra are getting on the bus. She is going to go back to America with him. Presumably they're going to get married. Tony is going to stay behind, not forever, But for the rest, I still got a few weeks before the semester starts. So she's going to stay by with... She at least is going to see if it works out with Farm Boy first.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, so I'll see you in a few weeks, and maybe I'll have somebody else with me when I come in. So she's open to bringing Farm Boy to America with her. He has not indicated that he wants to move to America. He has a cow and a chicken and a house. So, I mean, I understand they're, you know, as we've said before, they're working on movie time. So relationships are accelerated, but it just seems even more accelerated than normal.
It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. The whole thing is stupid.
And then we get a goddamn the end or is it ending, because the bus pulls away. They pan down to the cobblestones of where the fissure was, and then there's just a little bit of a rumble of those cobblestones.
They start shaking.
Yeah, as if, oh, maybe they're not trapped in hell forever. Maybe it's not the end. Fuck you. Nobody wants a sequel to this piece of shit movie.
Please, just kill me now.
Yeah. Honeybee, do I even have to ask? How many stars are you given?
It's one.
It's a half a star.
I'm giving it one for Tony, specifically for Tony alone.
Fair enough. 1 star means I hated it, and I did hate it. But it gets a half of a star. Tony earns it. It should be a half a star, but half a star to Tony to equal 1 star.
Yeah, I will say a half a star to Tony and maybe half a star to the Colonel.
Yeah. So a quarter star to Tony, a quarter star to the Colonel, bringing it up to 1 full star. It really deserves 0 stars. So yeah, let's give them each a half, because it deserves 0 stars. Because I didn't just hate it, I fucking hated it.
Yeah, I can't believe you watched it twice.
Yeah. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Okay. Some of these people have been in stuff. I have not seen any of the stuff that Chad Michael Collins was in, but I'm aware of it, and presumably he must have been better in some of those things, or he wouldn't keep getting work. He is best known for his leading role in the Sniper film series. Are you at all familiar with Sniper?
No.
Because I was not until recently. I stumbled on it recently. Here's the thing. This is a film series that has been going on for like 20 years that I was unaware of until like this year. It may still be going on. The first movie was in 1993. The most recent movie was in 2023. So it's not over yet. There can still be more Sniper movies. Sniper was in 93. Sniper 2 was in 2002. Number 2 was in 2002. Number 3 was in 2004. And then we kind of get a reboot with Sniper Reloaded in 2011, or a resurgence. He doesn't show up until Sniper Reloaded. Anyway, the first movie is a real movie that was released in theaters with like Tom Berenger and Billy Zane and J.T. Walsh. But that's the only one so far that I've seen. But everything from Reloaded forward is on Netflix, and all seems to be direct-to-video movies. So when I found out about this, I was like, how has this series been going on for 20 years and I'm just now hearing about it now? Anyway, he's in like 3 or 4 of those movies, so maybe he's much better in those. Maybe he was much better in Lake Placid 2 or The Christmas Card. These are other TV movies he's been in. He was in things before Rock Monster. So it could just be that the director is so bad that he made everybody else bad. Who knows? It's a bad movie, folks. Do not watch it.
It's a bummer. I'm bummed out. I was having such a good day and now I'm bummed out. Just kidding.
Judas Priest.
Yeah, so
Honeybee,
1 star. Fuck it.
Yeah. What's next on our list, Honeybee? Outlander?
Yes.
Where did we find that? YouTube?
Yes, if you have the premium subscription.
But I think... okay, so they have updated... Last time, just 2 weeks ago, when I looked for Outlander, it didn't seem to be on much. And it looked like we were going to have to pay for it. And I didn't want to pay for it. But it said it was on YouTube Premium, but then I think when we actually went to watch it...
Oh, yeah, you're right. I think it was just on regular YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now it's telling me that it's on Pluto.
Sweet.
But it wasn't free. It wasn't free with ads on YouTube. But yeah, we didn't log into your premium account. It just seemed to be on regular YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, Outlander you can watch for free. It's on Pluto TV and it may be on regular YouTube. Go find out. I feel like that was a much better movie. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I feel a little better about Outlander. So there you go. Outlander will be next, folks. Also, there's a couple of things that we sort of missed and we're going to go back and pick up. But that's not important right now. Let's wrap up the show. Until next week. It's very hot. It's very hot today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you appreciate the effort we go to make this show for us. I'm in my closet recording. I got the door closed, so I don't have the fan on because, the microphone's going to pick that up. I'm sweating my ass off here. We do this for you for free. So please, if you appreciate what we're doing, consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/MMFTG. I'm really impressed with how I just worked that in. Please, for the love of God, rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. It really helps.
Oh my God.
Go on the YouTube and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to us on there. Send me money in the mail. To P.O. Box. No.
Holy shit.
But anyway, but until next week, I have been Precious D.
And I have been Honeybee.
Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements.
And please don't misuse science.
We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texicano folk rock punk featuring Rita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/MNFTG.